Brenda Gear, the founder of Peek and Meet. Welcome to the Peek and Meet method. We're here to share tips and resources with freelancers, job seekers, and entrepreneurs to help them on their journey and overcome all the challenges of COVID. And hopefully we can find some opportunities in this. Tune in frequently to see what tips and resources we have for you. Hi, welcome to the Peek and Meet method. Today we have Suzanne Maillet with us, and Suzanne's going to tell us about her COVID-19 experiences, challenges, and opportunities. So Suzanne, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Suzanne. I have been the owner of Signature Homes by Suzanne for the past 2 years. And like most people, I have absolutely gone through some bumps and changes with COVID. What my business was helping people renovate and stage their homes for real estate sale. So my clients particularly were real estate agents or homeowners. And with COVID and the shutdown, it's definitely been challenging.
So what were some ways that you were able to overcome that or pivot?
So first off, overcoming it, well, in the beginning, there was no overcoming it because everyone was shut down. So during the shutdown, it was just time to try and figure out how to regroup. And then once it opened back up, what I have been attempting to focus on are people that can move out of their homes prior to selling it so that they can have a basic empty nest. So we can do renovations and staging without having people have to come in and interact. And then I also got a part-time job that I went back into the retail world and got a part-time job as a colorist for Home Depot. So it's been quite interesting.
Well, that was nice that you pivoted. And so I think just with your talent, with the decorating and stuff, it sounds like this job is a really good fit for you.
You know, it has been. And ironically, I have enjoyed it much more than I thought I would because I'm interacting with people and I'm helping the DIYers that come in pick colors and textures, and I'm doing a bit of what I was doing on a smaller scale just for the homes I was renovating. Now I get to help a lot more people at once.
Oh, that's exciting. So you mentioned that you're working with some real estate agents in Denver area, I presume. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
So, so how's the market now? You say people are moving out of their homes, so maybe some temporary home till they sell. It sounds like the market must be in good shape if they're willing to take that risk.
Well, so once again, we're pivoting. And I think what's happened is when the economy started opening up, we had a really good summer. There were people that were in a position because of how quick the market was to actually buy another home and move into it before selling their current home. Or they were able to stay somewhere temporarily while their home was being sold. And most of the homes, I probably did 10 to 12 of them over summer, and they weren't on the market here in Denver for longer than a week or two because they were out in the suburbs. They were not like in town Denver properties. But now what's happening now that COVID is ramping up and it's winter time, homes in Denver tend not to sell as quickly because of our weather. So I'm now looking to try and do another pivot to see how I can make changes during this upcoming fall and winter season.
So the realtors, the real estate agents must have really had a great summer with homes flying off the market that fast.
Yes, it was kind of a feast or famine. So a lot of people, if you were on the selling side, yes. If you were on the buying side, it was a little harder.
Mhm. Where are people primarily moving? Are they moving from downtown to other areas?
The interesting thing is everyone that is moving tends to be moving outward. So if you were downtown, you're going to the suburbs. If you were in the suburbs, you're going out into the country. It's like everyone is trying to get further away and more space. So it depends on how much space you were living in as to how much more you want, if that makes sense.
Yes. And you were talking about, you were thinking about pivoting again, expanding. What ideas or what are you thinking about perusing for a change or expansion?
Well, what I'm trying to do is target real estate agents that may kind of want to have their own look and their own inventory of staging items and furniture, because with vacant properties, I bring furniture in, and with existing properties, I always bring in accessories and decor and artwork. And one of the real estate agents that I've been most successful with this past year has basically, we have accumulated inventory for her of what she likes and how she likes to stage her homes. So I'm hoping to try and give a different spin on staging for real estate agents, where I'm more of a personal stager for them. And I'm hoping to market that soon.
Okay, so different styles.
Right.
Um, there are a lot of people out there that they don't actually embrace pivoting. Would you have any advice, any recommendations for them?
Nobody likes change. Change is difficult. Change is hard, and and it's very fearful. And what I would just try and encourage people is get out of your box. Try and figure out what it is, what skill sets you have or what you enjoy doing that you can probably take somewhere else, and be open to it. Just be as open as you possibly can.
So Suzanne, you were able to pivot during the pandemic. Did you have any family members or friends that lost their job or impacted their career somehow? And if so, what advice did you give them?
Well, absolutely. I have a very dear friend that worked in the hospitality industry. She was with Hilton for 25 years, and she was furloughed and then was retired. And now she is in pivoting. And um, again, I gave her that exact advice, and she is now looking into property management from a large scale residential standpoint rather than hospitality, because she knows it's probably going to take 2 or 3 years for hospitality to come back around again, but people still need to live in apartments and in housing communities. So we've helped her redo her resume and pivot to something similar but yet different.
Yeah, I love that. You said you helped her with the resume. So well, 25 years is a long time somewhere, and making a change is difficult. So that she probably hadn't written a resume in a long time. So getting those interview skills and the resume help, is just so important.
It really is. And looking outward, not being afraid to ask for help, because just as if we use that one girlfriend as an example, she had multiple jobs in that 25 years, but she always interviewed with the same type of people. It was within the same company. So having to get the mindset new and different it helps having somebody else to work with instead of just trying to figure it out all on your own.
Yeah. Also during the pandemic, or the shutdown, a lot of people experience isolation. Did you have any hobbies or methods, meditation, or anything that you used to help get yourself through that experience?
Well, it's funny because I picked up painting, and so I've been painting pumpkins, and Brenda, you will be getting one somewhat soon, because what I'm also doing is I painted pumpkins because Thanksgiving to me is just all about give back. It's about thanks, and it's not about anything other than friends or family. And so I'm starting this campaign that I call I Am Change.
Oh,
And I
I
haven't
love it.
started my hashtag yet, but I'm gonna start a hashtag. And
I want to
it
see it in the morning.
okay, and it has to do with all
Accountability.
it has to do also with physical change. And I mean that by coins. See the coins in this little bag? What I'm doing is, like everyone else, I have massive jars of coins all throughout my house. And here we are as a society, we're running out of change because of what we're going through. So I want to encourage people to use their change and to be change in using change and in giving to other people. So I'm going to be giving out my pumpkins, and I'm going to be giving out little bags of change, and I'm going to start a hashtag I Am Change, and I want to encourage other people to embrace change both inwardly and outwardly.
Change starts with me.
Exactly. It starts right here.
Yes.
And we all can do it.
So, yeah, and I do think change is very important. So one of the conversations I have, and something that's very important to me, are the 2020 grads, and the students are in school now. We both have older kids, and they kind of in school, they're past that school age. But a lot of these kids didn't have a college experience. They're missing the college experience because they're in such isolation, or they're doing classes online. And then the 2020 grads, they graduated and they should be out looking for jobs, and people are getting laid off. And now their challenge is, how do I compete with an experienced worker that's willing to take less money? So whenever the companies start hiring back, what advice as a mom, what advice would you give if you had a young child or student in that age bracket?
That's a tough one. I actually find the reverse. I sort of think that they may have an easier segue into it than those of us that have been around for longer, because while people, I'm going to say, with my type of experience, who has been very successful and has commanded a very high salary, even though we are willing to take less, companies, I think, are more willing to pay less for up and comers than they are to underpay someone who's overvalued. So I don't know that I have enough experience to speak to that. If anything, I kind of would want to try and figure out how those of us that are pivoting can kind of figure out a way to maintain a semblance of our salaries.
Yeah. Well, I do agree with you whenever you're talking six figures. I think that's true. But there's plenty of people out there that made 60,000 that's willing to take 40 or
Exactly.
whatever, and or 25. And sometimes you got to pay the bills, you got to pay the mortgage,
Yeah.
and so so I find that's just good. That's going to be a challenge for those students. But I hope you're right. But I wouldn't want anyone out of work.
Yeah, I just, my I guess my number one thing that I would say to anyone is just be open to whatever you can find, and try and not be a square peg in a round hole, and just try and be flexible and adaptable.
what do you think about students taking on freelance jobs?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I would take on a freelance job as well, just whatever you can do to be in the industry that you want to be in, or to learn something that you want to learn. The best way to do that is by experience. And so, however you get that experience, even um, if it's an apprenticeship, it's a foot in the door.
Yeah. So I think a lot of internships are really difficult right now. I feel like job shadowing is a really good thing. I've done that twice in my life and got two really good jobs, but I don't think a lot of people do that. I don't know if it's just they're unaware that they can do that. Do you know anyone that's ever job shadowed?
Job shadowing, no, but I know that there were some local high schools and local colleges that, specifically high school, I know in Douglas County, they had a program for seniors where seniors could take a course where they worked 20 hours a week or 15 hours a week. I don't know what it was. And they didn't get paid because they got school credit, but it was similar to an apprenticeship or even job shadowing, where for one semester they would have a particular job, and they would learn the trade or whatever the the company was.
Yeah, and they got to do different. Was that Parker? I think, right?
Yeah, it's Parker.
Okay, so yeah, I thought it was Parker, and they do have a really good program
Yeah,
there.
remember, I think I introduced you to the program when you were looking for
Yes,
someone
I
about
talked to
2
Debbie
years
Towser,
ago.
and I actually did hire someone for the summer. So I didn't do so I didn't do the free part. I hired someone for the summer, and she did an excellent job. And now she's off to college. But
See? Isn't that awesome? Yeah.
yeah, so I see that she's updated her resume now, and she put that she did an internship with Beat. So I thought that was pretty exciting. And I
Oh,
really
that is.
asked her. I really spent time with her, doing things that I would expect someone to do. So she probably thought it was more like a job.
Right, which is awesome. And I think if anything, if we can give back and become, I call it mentoring. If we can mentor and give back, I think that's just a wonderful thing for us to be able to do.
So Suzanne, are there any blogs, books, resources that you would recommend for someone that's kind of restricted and not getting out and winter's coming on?
So I have to say, that's not one of my strong suits. What I did was, prior to the pandemic, I was a member of an organization called iCore, and it's a real estate investing networking group that got together several times a month and had a lot of resources, and they went totally virtual. And so for me personally, I stayed connected with that group, but I didn't go out to seek additional sources.
Yeah, so you recommend networking groups just to kind of get yourself
Absolutely.
connected, stay plugged in?
Yep. Yes. And once again, I think you need to find the target industry that you want to be in, and then go out and research it and join the organizations that fit most for you, but definitely stay connected.
Yeah, I think a lot of groups. Sometimes it costs money to join, so there are plenty of free resources. You can look on Eventbrite, Meetup. Just think the Commons on Champa is a really good one. Even Startup Grind has some great virtual events.
Correct. Yes.
Mhm.
And
So,
I've gone to a couple of theirs during all of this.
oh yeah, so I did a couple of the virtual events too. It was great. So it's
Mhm.
always interesting to hear someone else's success story, and just to stay motivated and stay plugged in.
Exactly. And I've always been motivated by other motivational people, right? When you see that there are people that are doing really cool things, and pivoting themselves, it's inspirational, and you feel not so alone in all of this.
Yeah, I can share those feelings of whatever you're experiencing. So Suzanne, we all have an ask. What's your ask?
I need more real estate agents. I
Well,
need to get I need my ask is how can I get in front of more people, and how can I bring my experience to agents out there that want to sell homes and want to bring the highest dollar for their client and themselves in selling a house, and how can I help them determine how much or how little needs to be renovated on a home and put into a home for staging and selling.
so when I always think of staging a home, I think of you want a buyer to walk in, or a buyer or potential buyer online to look at it and see themselves living in that space. That's
Correct.
the reason
That's
I
absolutely
go.
correct. Which I have, and I do have this one really unique, I'm going to call her a client, in that there's a woman that wanted to buy a home, and she had seen a home that I staged prior to me staging it, and she had told the real estate agent she would never buy that home. And then I staged the home, and she came over and she was like, oh my gosh, I now want to buy this home. And she literally, in a 24-hour period of time, tried to sell her house so she could put an offer in, and it didn't happen. So then so she didn't get that house. However, when she went to sell her house, I came in and helped renovate and stage that house. And then she didn't want to move. She was like, this is beautiful. And she's like, I walk around the house, and she goes, I don't want to leave it. So it was the best compliment that I could have.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a compliment that she didn't want to leave her home. Maybe she was just looking for something fresh.
Yeah,
Um,
well, she needed bigger, and more room and more space. I think that's what a lot of people are challenged with right now during these times when we're inside more, especially coming now into the fall and winter season, is that they're finding out that their homes just aren't big enough for their needs anymore.
what kind of budget would someone that was trying to sell their home would they need in order to hire someone like you?
It depends on the size of the house, but it's literally anywhere from a $250 consultation up to a $3,000 staging. And that's anywhere from just hands-on, me walking into a house and giving recommendations and bringing in a few items, or up to fully staging like a 5,000 square foot home. So it's a huge difference, but very scalable depending on circumstances and the home.
In the budget. Okay, so Suzanne, can you tell homeowners and real estate agents how to find you?
Well, again, my business name is Signature Suzanne, and I am on Facebook as Suzanne Marie Maillet, which it's spelled Maillet, or I also have a business page which is Signature Suzanne on Facebook as well, and I'm on Instagram as Signature Suzanne.
Okay, Suzanne, thank you for being with us today, and thank you for sharing your experiences and your ideas. And we'll be talking to you soon. And tomorrow, we want to see
What
I am change
I
on your
am.
social media posts. Thank
You
you.
got it. I will tag you.
Yay!